Hello there, a very good morning. This is the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. As always, we're ready with the details on this morning's top local, international and sports news stories. Stay tuned with us for the news in detail. Let's start off with the top local news item this morning. Today marks the end of the first phase of the first school term for government and government-approved private Sinhala and Tamil medium schools. The second phase of the term is set to commence on the 1st of April. Meanwhile, the GCE ordinary level examination will commence on the 17th of March and continue until the 26th. For candidates who have not yet obtained National Identity Card information confirmation letters to sit for the O-level exam, the Department of Registration of Persons will be open tomorrow to issue these letters. The head office in Battaramulla and the provincial offices located in Galle, Kurunegala, Baunia, Batticaloa and Nuwara Eliya will be open from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for this purpose. The department also announced that the relevant forms can be downloaded from their official website www.drp.gov.lk. That website once again www.drp.gov.lk. Additionally, school applicants who have not submitted applications for NICs should bring duly completed forms certified by the principal of their school or the Grama Niladhari officers. Well, today is the 13th day of the third reading of the appropriation bill, which we also call the committee stage debate in Parliament. The Parliament is set to convene at 9:30 a.m. to debate the expenditure heads of the Ministry of Plantation and Community Infrastructure. The Budget Committee stage debate will continue until the 21st of this month. The vote related to it will be held at 6 p.m. the same day. On to more local news now. The government has decided to allocate 13,000 acres of land from state-owned estates for agricultural activities and tourism to the private sector. The Secretary to the Ministry of Plantation and Community Infrastructure, Prabhat Chandrakirti, said that unused and underutilized land has been selected for this purpose. Still in local news, the police say that extensive investigations have been initiated to arrest the suspects involved in the shootings in Baliveria and Akmimana. They said that 7 teams have been deployed for this purpose. Police say that 1 person was injured in a shooting that occurred last night in the Aralia Gasdeka Junction, Baliveria. He is currently receiving treatment at the Gampaha Hospital. The victim was attacked while he was travelling on a motor vehicle. The injured individual is a 26-year-old resident of Udugampala. 3 police teams have been assigned to arrest these suspects. Meanwhile, in Akmimana, Galle, police teams have been deployed to investigate the shooting incident that occurred in Thalgaha. A former assistant commissioner of the Busa High Security Prison was killed in the shooting that was carried out last evening. The police say that he was shot by 2 individuals who arrived on a motorcycle who then proceeded to flee the scene. Police say that the 2 motorcycles, which were reportedly used by the suspects, were found abandoned in Yakkalamulla. The shooting was carried out using a 9mm pistol. The victim, a 61-year-old former assistant commissioner to the Busa High Security Prison, had retired in March 2024. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Public Administration, Provincial Councils and Local Government has announced plans to fill several vacancies in the executive grade of the government, including the Sri Lanka Administrative Service. A total of 156 new recruits will be selected for the Sri Lanka Administrative Service based on the results of the competitive examinations held in 2021. Currently, there are 400 vacancies in the Sri Lanka Administrative Service, and the Ministry plans to recruit 250 individuals for the engineering service, which has around 400 vacancies by now. Additionally, preliminary work has been completed to recruit 289 new personnel for the Sri Lanka Accountant Service. The Ministry also plans to recruit 136 individuals for the Sri Lanka Planning Service. And finally, on to the weather news update for this morning. The Met Department says that showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the western, Sabaragamuwa and southern provinces during the afternoon or night. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the central, northwestern and Uba provinces during the afternoon or night as well. Fairly heavy showers, about 50 millimeters, can be expected at some places in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central and Uba provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts during the morning hours. And as always, the general public is requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during these thunder showers. Let's move on to news overseas now, shifting your attention to Russia and Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin said he agreed with the idea of a ceasefire in Ukraine, but that questions remained about the nature of a truce as he set out a number of tough conditions. The Russian president was responding to a plan for a 30-day ceasefire, which Ukraine agreed to earlier this week after talks with the US. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described Putin's response to the plan as manipulative and called for more sanctions on Russia. Meanwhile, the US placed further sanctions on Russian oil, gas and the banking sectors as well. Speaking at a news conference in Moscow on Thursday, Putin said of the ceasefire proposal, quote, "The idea is right and we support it, but there are questions that we need to discuss." Unquote. Putin said a ceasefire should lead to an enduring peace and remove the root causes of the crisis. He said, and I quote, "We need to negotiate with our American colleagues and partners. Maybe I'll have a call with Donald Trump." Unquote. Putin said that one of the areas of contention is Russia's Kursk region, where Ukraine launched a military incursion last year and captured some territory. He claimed Russia was fully back in control of Kursk and said Ukrainian troops there have been isolated. Speaking at the White House following Putin's remarks, Trump said he would love to meet the Russian leader and he hoped that Russia would do the right thing and agree to the proposed 30-day truce. Speaking earlier at a meeting in the Oval Office with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Trump told reporters he had already discussed the specifics with Ukraine. Allow me to shift your attention to the Middle East now. Israeli forces have launched more attacks on Gaza, killing at least 2 children in Gaza City and Beit Lahia as negotiations continue in Doha over the fate of the ceasefire. UN experts say Israel has carried out genocidal acts against Palestinians by systematically destroying women's healthcare facilities during its war on Gaza and using sexual violence as a war strategy. Hamas insists on advancing to a second stage of the truce deal, dismissing Israeli media reports of talks on a US proposal to extend the ceasefire by 60 days in exchange for the release of more Israeli captives. Now, Gaza's health ministry says at least 48,524 Palestinians have been killed and 111,955 wounded in Israel's war on Gaza. Now, Gaza's government media office has updated its death toll to more than 61,700, saying thousands of Palestinians missing under the rubble are presumed dead. At least 1,139 people were killed in Israel during the October 7th, 2023 attacks, and more than 200 were taken captive there. On to sports news now. The Indian Masters team qualified for the final of the 2025 International Masters League T20 cricket tournament by defeating the Australian Masters team by 94 runs in the first semi-final. In the match that was held in Raipur, the Australian Masters team won the toss and elected to field first. Invited to bat first, the Indian Masters innings was opened by Ambati Rayudu and captain Sachin Tendulkar. The first 2 Indian wickets fell at 62 runs. Yuvraj Singh joined Sachin Tendulkar and they added a partnership of 47 runs for the 3rd wicket. Tendulkar scored 42 runs. Yuvraj Singh scored 59 runs with 7 sixes and 1 4. The Indian Masters team scored 220 runs for the loss of 7 wickets in their allotted 20 overs. Now chasing 221, the Australian Masters team was bowled out for 126 runs. Ben Cutting was the top scorer for the Australian Masters, scoring 39 runs. Now the second semi-final of the 2025 International Masters League T20 cricket tournament will be held today. The match will be between the Sri Lanka Masters team, captained by Kumar Sangakkara, and the West Indies Masters team, captained by Brian Lara. The match will kick off in Raipur at 7:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time. Well, that's a wrap of this week's final edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. I'll see you once again with a brand new edition of the Breakfast Rundown on a brand new week, once again here on TV1 at 7 a.m. Until then, take care, have a wonderful day and weekend ahead.